Welcome any of us watching.
So plenty of consistency coming out here for Curly now. Who's left in the game though? Noisy, Neo still here. Creon and Blake are still also kind of in the mix, but it is not looking good for them as Diminished and Hobby have just so much going in their favor here.
Yeah, even Blake running around as a solo. Him and Curly, the only solos left in this lobby. That's not going to slow him down. Even Ritual is trying to get into the mix. Diminished using so many of his heals with him and Hobby on the high ground. They have the luxury to do it. But we're going to jump on board Curly. 98 points. Him and Rise are starting to build that momentum. You see the win condition in the back pocket. Multiple chug-chugs. He went through the pizza. He's just trying to last long enough to get these points as Hobby and Diminished are dropping down. They know the time has come. Over towards Sandy's strip. They're trying to get these eliminations. They're trying to force everybody down low to clash as we get into the final 2v2.
This is it. Noisy and Neo. 9 elims, possibly pushing for 10 or 11 here and now, but this building is just buying them so much time now. You couldn't call a stronger endgame, a weird endgame for both teams. And look, they both have mats as well, so this is going to go the distance. But if you're Diminished and Hobby, this is not what you want at all, Jacob. They don't have heals to really go the further, but Noisy and Neo try to force the fight here up and over to the side. Diminished goes up just to get that visual from up top. Great tag so far, and this is really going any way right now.
Yeah, he does a pre-shockwave to make sure Noisy and Neo can't shockwave up. He has the Mythic, so one pump is around any one of these corners, but Diminished is making sure to keep his distance, letting Hobby drop down low, plays the Disruptor, but the elimination comes through. That Siphon on him could be the difference. Could you see his HP going up? Neo with just a sliver left, and they have done it. Noisy and Neo have clutched up and stolen that game away from Rise and Curly.
You know, I'm not going to lie, and Hobby and Diminished, of course, being in the final stretch, they're a good fight there, Jacob, as they went the distance, but who would have thought Neo and Noisy were going to be the teams to go ahead and pull through and send themselves straight through the finals. Now, that's a huge win here in game number 2. Heat 1 already starting to give us some very interesting action, and Z, we still got the big boys in the lobby.
Bro, why are we coming down to these nail-biter games, man? I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat watching like, wait a minute, and Jacob's calling out this, and oh my gosh, and then boom, it goes the way of Noisy and Neo. For them, this is huge, right? Just think, we come into today, we have 5 games to try and make something happen, and you get a victory out in game number 2. I mean, Kelly, you gotta be like, all right, pressure's off, it's good, I'll see you guys in finals.
I mean, 100%. The pressure was definitely on for this duo, especially considering kind of how new they are as a duo. Noisy and Neo played that end game so well, so patiently. There was a moment there where I definitely thought it was going to be Hobby and Diminished. They played the high ground really passively, but honestly, when you just have more than the other duo, Vivid, all you kind of have to do is just wait a little bit, wait for them to drop down, and that's exactly what Noisy and Neo did.
Yeah, they played that perfectly right. We saw those 2 eliminations kind of happen on the 2 solos of the lobby. So all those materials kind of fell right into their pocket, and something else falling right into their pocket. A ticket straight to the grand finals. And big news here, it's actually going to be the first time we see Neo in an FNCS grand final. So congratulations to him, and for Noisy, just the 4th time over there as well. So like Kelly mentioned, new players to the scene when it comes to these grand finals, but after watching that game right there, they look like vets.
Woo! I am excited. Now, of course, action is not over. We still have 3 games to go. First, really quick, in case you missed it, the Triple Threat Bundle is out in the item shop right now. Check it out. My gosh. Shout outs to Somerset, to Reddish, and to Moxie. But guys, this is such an amazing time. Again, I can't get over. FNCS is back, baby. It feels so good to be back in the FNCS mindset, to see all the pros, to see the kind of tech and how people are adapting. I'm telling you, Kelly, everyone's thinking about that summit. It's in the back of the mind, isn't it? Global is not that far away. Summit, very soon.
It's really added a whole nother level of pressure onto all of our teams. We've never had something like this before. We've seen teams do well in like Major 1, or maybe they don't do well in Major 1 when they're like, oh, well, we still have the rest of the year to kind of prove ourselves, get our spot at the Global Championships. But everyone wants to go to this Major 1 summit. It's something completely new and Vivid. I don't know about you, but I think a lot of these teams are probably putting in a little bit more effort to qualify this time around.
Definitely, all right. That's why we saw so many switches coming into this specific major, and you can just tell that it's an FNCS lobby. We've kicked things off just by how many players are alive in some of these early games, right? And how Storm Surge is just hurting everybody in the lobby.
3 games more. 3 more victory royales, or we hope to end in the top 10. First, a break when we return for FNCS. See you in a bit. Welcome back, Fortnite fam. In case you missed it, game number 2 went over to Noisy and Neo, which means they're good. They're like, hey, we got to play no more FNCS. Now we can focus on next weekend, grand finals next weekend, and eventually that summit. But man, oh man, there's still 3 games left to go. If you don't know, we either want a victory out or we want to end in the top 10, which means we will make a spot in the grand finals. Guys, we have 3 games left to go. We're almost halfway through, and there's still a lot of teams I feel like could have already gotten themselves a victory royale. I mean, if I'm looking at that leaderboard, I'm looking right at the top, Javi and Aminish, right? We've already seen 2 fantastic games from them. You know, if we just stop the competition right now, yeah, they go through in the top 10. That's all great, but I mean, I don't know, Kelly, 3rd place, 6 elims, 2nd place, 2. Like, I'm thinking we can see a VR pretty soon.
I mean, it's highly possible, but you know what? Javi and Aminish, they finished the play-ins in 1st place. So maybe that's just what they want. They really like that 1st place next to their name. So they don't want to get the auto qual. They want to get 1st place through consistency. But regardless, what really impressed me about this duo right here was their push for height that they saw. What they did for this height push really impressed me. They waited for Curly to actually go for height first against QK and EXO. And then after Curly went up, and that is when they went up, and allowing that kind of few second players to kind of third party for height is what allowed them to claim it for themselves. It ultimately didn't go the way that they wanted, but still, to see that height play, I can definitely see them going for it again in Game 3, Vivid. It ultimately
Yeah, something that impressed me was actually taking a look at how many eliminations they picked up that game. It was only 2, 1 each on both of them, and to kind of survive all the way to second place is very tough to do in end games like that, right? Because you usually need the refreshes to kind of keep your game going, but they must have played a very good game when it came down to the rotates, because only 2 eliminations picked up maybe even 2 refreshes there, and not only building up on the hype, but making it all the way to the end of the game. Super impressive stuff.
You're talking about eliminations. Look at Aegis and Ritual, right? 14 already. These guys are here to slay. And I think it's interesting that you bring that up, right, Vivid? Because on one side, we see, hey, we have a duo that's not really picking up impacts, right? They're not really finding these extra materials. Aegis and Ritual, though, they're getting active. They're looking for eliminations. They have mats, they have weapons, ammo, everything you could need. So, I mean, we could see a victory royale coming out of them, right, Viv?
Yeah, I mean, it would not be surprising to kind of see them win the game. I guess, kind of coming into heat number 1, I would have actually bet that Ritual and Aegis would have been one of our first teams to win one of these early games right here. They're still playing very, very well, as you can see, based on the leaderboard right there, and obviously the eliminations that they're picking up as well. But, yeah, I mean, they're just doing such a good job with those eliminations. They're at the top of the leaderboard when it comes to those specific eliminations, and they just got to keep the ball rolling.
Luckily, thanks to our Kench stats, we actually have the number for the finals VRs that they have coming out of the Div Cup finals. And they only have 2 victory royales out of the Div Cup finals that we've seen for this chapter. And Aegis and Ritual, although they are consistently in the top of our leaderboard, for me, it is more so the fact that they are just consistent. They don't necessarily need to go for the win, but they are just such a consistent duo, Zeke.
I love that. I love the consistency. And as well, in case you missed it on that leaderboard, 7th place, Curly and Rise, right? We kind of got eyes on them. I want to make sure we're keeping them close to see if they can make it through either consistency or on that victory royale, right? Because we do have some high expectations, but I'm feeling like they can maybe pull it through. Guys, we're getting ready to jump back in game number 3. VR or top 10? Let's get it. Casters, over to you.
Yeah, that's right. Things are definitely picking up here. And you know what? I was looking at Neo's Twitter there, and it's his first time going to finals, so congrats for him. They seem to be very excited. As Noisy said, we are the best Mexican players out here. So I love to just see the celebrations, folks making their first finals. But this is just one more step, Jacob, for them going to win.
Yep, they just ahead and continue that same performance. Not going to be as easy in finals, but at least they got themselves an opportunity. But we go ahead and look at that leaderboard. The top 10 is where it's really going to matter after all the games are said and done, and those teams already advanced to the grand finals. So you look at Javi and Minish, you look at Aegis, Ritual, even Shadow and Virgo. They're so high up on the leaderboard, they just need to do the bare minimum to secure that spot. It's the other teams that I might begin to get worried about.
Yeah, if you're already breaking that 100-point threshold, you're pretty much a shoo-in. Seems like you're on pace to make your top 10. And, it's a short day today. 5 games, that's it. 2 already out, of course, as we only have 3 more left, of course, with this one in front of us. So with the battle bus ringing out, Jacob, let's go ahead and go on one more time.
This is essentially the halfway point throughout today's tournament. As Monster said, 5 games instead of the usual 6. So if you find yourself running out of time, that could be why. And you kind of look at the leaderboard. I talked about Javi, Aegis, Shadow, even our analysts talked about it. But as you continue to go down the leaderboard and you see how tight of a race it actually is. If you think top 15 after the 5 teams qualify, right now it's only 57 points. Only 1 point kind of separates a couple of these teams. And back to this fight, straight 50-50. They go for the chest down below. Nut and Braum seem to have this one on lock.
And when you get that elim this fast, right, you're beating them to the drop, you're finding that, weapon first essentially and getting the full elim. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that because you're getting your points, you're getting quick damage, and then you get the whole drop. There's just no waste of resource, so it doesn't get more min-max than that. So you jump with Blake and Preston. Just highlighted the fact of the speed of the last elimination. Last time we saw Pluzzy and crew here, Pluzzy was by himself when he missed that shot in game 2. We called him out for it, so you can't make those mistakes when you have that one-on-one opening up. So we'll see what Kin and Pluzzy can do here if they've actually learned a little bit from their last game 2 loss.
Yeah, and Blake and Preston, even though They've had a little bit of struggles without their game. They're only 13 points away from that bubble spot and to get into the finals from a contested drop, which is impressive in its own. As we take Mafia, they get their 2 eliminations at Humble Hills, so they get the rest of that drop and time here early on to loot up and try to get the rest of what they fought for. Preston goes to try to make a play, lands the first shot. Fuzzy, he's trying to struggle his way back to the other side, but that could be an opportunity to Blake to try to get the sandwich.
Definitely nicely done for him to go to make the exit here. Oh, quick dash and counter fire as well. Looking good, but Blake's a little bit more shield to work with now, but no, he couldn't push back fast enough and allow Preston to go and play the side angle there. Well, this is going to be my grabs here for Fuzzy. One more time now. Blake and Preston continuing to flex as the stronger duo at the moment. We're rewarded with a full drop, the northern zone pull as well. No rush for them.
What a time to kind of win this one. If they get that legendary drop, you can kind of see the POI. It grants a increased chance at getting those rare chests and more gold. So what a perfect game to try to win this one in. They got a lot of time to loot up over towards Latte Landing. Same here on this side of the map. Sandy Strip with Agers and Ritual. We kind of know how their early game goes. As they're uncontested, they just try to farm up. They loot. They pick the perfect loadout. From there, depending on where the zone goes, they do like to push the eastern side of the map, whether they use the blob or just straight shockwave grenades. That's how most times they pick up their eliminations or damage.
And they do clearly an excellent job at it. 7 Ultra, of course, the first time we're seeing them in the early game here, taking their battles. It's against Liam and Press. In the toe-to-toe fight here. Press trying to work his way around. Seems like his team might have dashed out. The roll while you're down action here. For the body.
Yeah, seeing them kind of jump away. We know he's knocked. We kind of see it in the mini-map. They're not that close to it, so they're going to be searching quite a while if they look for that one. Could give him an opportunity to get the reboot, but you can also see in the mini-map, he disengaged on out, right? He's over here thinking, my teammate, there's no way I can get the reboot. There's no way he's going to be able to roll on to me. So he's continuing the rest of his game, trying to collect that gold, just in case he has to purchase it to get his teammate back.
I think he's going to be able to get him, though. Not going to lie. They seem to have straight lost him there at the end. Meanwhile, Day and Scuffy. So last time we saw them here, they put their guard down with the open wall from behind. And
Bro, I think
they're doing it again here. As we see on the map there.
There's always people.
Okay, they know there's a team in the water. All right, cool.
Same skin.
Last time, Scuffy's got laced up real quick. It was all up to Day there.
And at that time, too, it's just so late in the game with every other team hearing the reboot that caught their attention as well. So it's just unfortunate for Day and all that timing. But Rise, Curly, back on over towards Painted Palms. And honestly, it's been an impressive tournament so far. Even though it's not necessarily on the leaderboard, Rise has the second most damage in the entire lobby so far. Only beaten by Neo. So you know, if it continues in the trend, he might be able to be the #1 player in this lobby. Shadow, Virgo. Virgo is going to be #2 on that list of players still playing this lobby in total damage. And I'm not too surprised. 250 eliminations in play-in. You kind of see they slow down their game plan for Heats, kind of being diverse in their strategy. They can get eliminations, they can play aggressive, or they can just kind of play to placement. Comco collect a game plan, hope everybody else makes mistakes.
Yeah, I always said Shadow and Virgo were extremely talented, you know, hyping up Shadow's capabilities. Haven't seen it firsthand. Now you get to see them put their brain to use, right? Treating this like a finals lobby. These set lobbies always bring such a different dynamic, so you have to be flexible. For some, though, this is their first time, right? Like making it this far in the life cycles. 7 Ultra in that conversation here. They're choked out, though. There's 2 duos on either side of them. I'm just going to have to pick their poison here shortly. Yora seems to be a solo. Let's just play parking duo, actually. Whoa.
Tuned in, Agers Ritual. Or at least Agers get dropped down to just a sliver of HP. Splash is coming out, minis as well. They know they have time here because they have their mending machine down below, more than likely boxed up. The position here, they can shoot the blob and kind of create so much distance in the blink of an eye. So they have plenty of options now that they survived that fight from Boogie and Cash. Not sure how they were able to get that damage, but heads up for Aegis and Ritual to be able to survive that.
Yeah, and so you have to have that effect on as well from the shockwave to, of course, get that distance. For Blake and Preston, though, back on over to Listen and Aloe for a base down here. We already knew Blake and Preston took that fight here at the Latte Landing, so for Listen and Aloe to just rotate into their drop. Surprised they didn't even catch Blake and Preston out.
I can kind of see what they're looking at here. I don't see Curly anywhere. I see Rise trying to run. It seems like maybe they got the elimination on Curly. Aloe Listen chasing down Rise, and yes, no knock. So that is going to be a full wipe. Complimenting how well Rise was playing with his damage. I'm not going to take blame for that, Curse, but they are going to go down, and that's going to be a little bit more of a struggle for them. They're 7th place on the overall leaderboard, so they have a little bit of a cushion, but that means no more mistakes for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you know, all things considering, you would have thought Curly and Rise were a little bit, I guess, more comfortable on the standings, you know, leaning into Game 3, but they're still in the conversation. This is surely going to put them back. But now the pressure's on for consistency. I didn't think I'd be saying that today, as that was a team I'd for sure, of course, have as a favorite, if you will. 55 Frog versus Ultra and Marvel right now.
Kind of seeing what teams would have to do here now that Tip Top Terrace is no longer in the game. They just have to go a little bit more north to get the lion's share of their loot, which means teams that used to land over here uncontested now have a little bit more opposition, so it's not going to be as easy as it once was. No elimination yet, but they get forced down below. Quick peek on that shot. It does look like Mike's just trying to get away, create some distance, go up above, but that's the same thing that's getting him caught out. Back-to-back shots coming out from Ultra, switches targets, hits the other one as well. He is just hitting haymakers up until then. He goes down, leaving Leahy by himself.
Like to see it, but Cryptify is trying to hold on right now. Leahy and, of course, his teammate here, Ultra, they have had an exceptional first 2 games, by the way. They're up in that high 60-point threshold, but no, Cryptify actually gets the siphon there. That's going to give him a massive advantage over Leahy, but he can't quite track him. That Fizz is going to go ahead and give him a little bit of HP as well, so he is actually in the fight right now. As we talk about it, there you have it. Swings around, still hasn't got his elimination, so now he's trying to get it back. Oh no. The pickup go through though. That's gonna be a huge mistake if he does. He's only down to 4 builds here, and little does he know, he's got the advantage right now. He's just gotta keep that pressure up. There's the finish. Tries to take the fight, misses the important tag. There's the follow-up, 121, with no heals now for Leahy. Just the slaps, okay. She almost called that one too soon.
The silver I was wrong. I was just saying the silver lining here is the zone's not too far away, but as I look in the mini-map, I see somebody rotating in, and it was my thought that it was initially a solo, but even further down in the mini-map, the duo is there, so they hear all this noise still going down, probably looking at the elimination feed, spotting out and gathering that information and trying to make the play. Leahy is now just getting pushed. He finishes one fight, ends up in another. Sleaze and Atlas are there to clean up one elimination here. They do pick it up, but do they know there's at least one more person hiding out here?
It's just so unfortunate too, because he used the fist to go on and rotate as well, so just no way to exit at that point. Couldn't have timed it worse, unfortunately. Atlas and Sleaze, they'll find themselves some much welcome points here. But if you're Leahy and Ultra, what a setback, right? Being up in that 50 points already, kind of cruising your way through, consistently earning. Now, all that momentum gone. For Cryptify, he's just hiding out. I don't think I saw Whites on the last time we checked them, but the zone's right there, so it'd be too much of a problem.
How much noise and attention is that reboot going to garner, even if he does get it off? It's Dragon, Creon, 101 inside of the bubble as of now. And this is a team when we talk about competitors, they're usually at least in the race. You can almost talk about a grand finals appearance. This team deserves that shout out just as good as anybody else. But this time around, you see a little bit of struggles when it comes to Storm Surge. 70 above. They go up to 127, but Dragon gets beamed. So the Storm Surge falls right back down to 79. And this is the kind of games that these teams are playing. The Storm Surge, the way it works is it's total damage dealt minus the damage taken gives you your net Storm Surge, and that's where each team is ranked on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it is really interesting. The cat and mouse here. You want to be the one, of course, chasing, not receiving the damage. We got a Dragon push right into Northern's boxes, though. That was extremely aggressive. Doesn't seem to have escaped there. Meanwhile, Andrew's duo vibing out here at the Humble Hills. They have press on the other side. Good fight coming from it just yet. There goes the fight breakout. Doing fairly well with kill damage. So it's not a fight they actually need.
Yeah, they more so just want this team to just leave. Like, they're 400 above. They have the heals. They're waiting for the game to pass them by. But Prez, his duo, Liam on the other side, they're like, hey, we might necessarily need the damage. We might need some resources. Great damage from Liam. Going to cause the knock onto one, leaving Andrew by himself. He is the IGL, so hopefully he has the brain power to get himself out alive, if not get these eliminations. Because Prez, he's already weak. We'll see if that one continues. But Creon and Dragon, they're in this tight situation. They're also below the damage threshold. During this fight, they're below, they're above. They're trying to get the elimination. 3 more points. There's a lurker. Not just that one team that they have to watch out for, but so many others that have to rotate in this direction.
This is a fight through desperation, not choice, and Creon has no idea. This is a fresh team pulling up, and then another.
Nope, my back chat.
Desperation, not choice, and Creon has no idea. This is a fresh team pulling up, and then another one there in the distance too, seemingly shockwaving in. So the situation they've managed to download, digest, and understand here. There's one of those duos that came in out of nowhere. It was Tony. He gets finished there. You see Exist in the background. You see Zenon and Rez here moving in too. So just a lot unfolding all at the same time. Creon and Dragon are the ones that break away with it, though. They get I'd say the bulk of the math and the bulk of the damage now. They just have to minimize expending anything extra. Yup, they understand it too. Seems like they want to rotate out. Meanwhile, Ritual, fighting for his life here, finds one. He'll manage to go in and have
36 points though, so even if they do go down here, I'm not necessarily too worried for them. I don't think they're going to be too worried as well either. But Ritual, he's not giving up without a fight. Quickly going on over to that drop and see if we can get out of a slap-a-roni pizza. If any item can pop out of that one, that's the one you want.
Yep, gotta love the slaps when they show up just on time. So belly's full, shield looking great. Virgo and Shadow though. Talk about, again, the team that was monstrously running the lobby with Elims, now just vibing now, barely breaking a sweat in the early game here, turning online when they absolutely have to, and just really allowing that consistency to flex and keep them up on the standings right now. Nice moveset for them, puts them up in great shape here for the end game, and this is just game 3, so we're really just seeing the best of what they have to offer.
Then feed Shadow, taking down Dragon. I think Avenger even getting elimination from Wonkyland. Vigil and Braids finally moving in. The edge of the zone, sometimes that's what you got to settle with. We're seeing that elimination here. Shadow, Virgo, just a non-stop action. And that's the beauty about a team like Shadow and Virgo, is when they realize they're below the damage threshold, they can play slow, they can play steady, they can try to get surge on players shockwaving, but they can also go box to box and break their way in and command that respect.
Yeah, I really like that we're starting to see that side of them, right? This is not something, it's not a statement we would have probably said this time last year, but hey, they're putting up the performances and now they're getting the praise to back it up. So love to see that continued development. But for now, Barney, Vertify have the high ground. This is a massive amount of commitment. I dare say myself here, as we're very early into the end game, but they've fully went all in here. And they have the natural high kind of terrain to support them there. Meanwhile, Toronto slipped on the other side, 21 below. But talk about consistency here in these first 3 rounds. No elims just yet, so this is going to be a super critical set of damage that they're hunting for here, Jacob.
Yeah, I like how you talk about the importance. Right now, I do believe they sit on 6th place on the overall leaderboard in terms of consistency. So it's not where you want to falter now. So great heads up play, noticing that team down below and being persistent. Even though it's only 12 damage above the threshold, they were able to get the elimination, and at least they're above the damage threshold. There's other teams in the lobby right now that are going through active surge, having the game played for them.
This greed starting to set in now. You start thinking, do I go for it? Barely holding on. We're in the end game. Meanwhile, Ritual's got a lot to work with here as well. It's just solo, but plenty of extra heals. SMG in his pocket there too. Legendary rarity. Zone's already on top of him. Virgo, 10 HP, but makes it to the storm here. Goes with the pizzas first. Oh, and they have extras as well. That's an excellent way to bounce back in the game. So keep that chug for later.
Yeah, seeing just kind of the different rotations coming out. Some people use those shockwaves just straight for the effect. Somebody using those shockwaves and just kind of running, letting it boost them the minimal amount. And you saw Blake and Preston there for that moment use the shockwave just to get from the backside of the zone, flying over everybody to try to land a position in the front. We talked about Vertify and Barney investing early into this here. They do have a good amount of materials, but they get a max pull. So it's going to be a risk if they want to try to keep it if shockwave on over.
And Fortnite
Got the Flowberry miss though. They of course have the Overdrive shocks as well. They both have their own sets, so plenty of mobility here left. I'm seeing max material as well, so I like the spot that they're in, all things considering. They should be able to rotate in here shortly and possibly keep playing for height. See why they wouldn't. Javi and Aminish, though, they took a little too long to make the decision. Javi and Aminish, you gave them an inch, they took a mile. They're the team up top now in full control here. Trying to run that one back here, Jacob. They weren't content with the 3rd place last game.
Heard Kelly and Vivid and Zeke talking about it. So far, they're hitting for the cycle. 3rd place, 2nd place. All they need is a first. Momentary there where it looked like they were going to get contested, but they did not. They're able to fend on team off, and they continue to box out forward. Aminish, Javi, they're in the backside of the zone now, and that 2nd height layer is now targeting them out, trying to get them to expend builds, waste time inside of the zone. Let it take some damage as well. That's 50 HP left, so 5 ticks of damage, but they take no time getting back to the front side of the zone. It was Blake and Preston on that 2nd height that is continuously being that nuisance.
It's underrated amount of synergy right there. The jumping as they both just utilize the same builds to get high ground here. No wasted materials. You love to see it. They just bully off Blake and Preston there. So they are back and in control. Virgo and Shadow, though, 5 heals. Just enough mats. A couple heals here. Now looking for the refresher. Continues to be impressed here by their performance right now in this end game. Even the charge here going through some early pre-built structures. Kind of like that they get the first stabs here. Yeah, they will need the material. Let's see how much comeback they can bounce back in this game. Meanwhile, Visual and Breach are still up as well. Bottom right here.
There goes the whole fight too. Virgo's gonna go down. Shadow's gonna be able to survive. It's Blake and Preston who deal the damage, but the fight does continue. They force Shadow outside of the zone. He doesn't really have much HP. No time to pop the jug, and he is gonna go down. Meanwhile, on high ground, Moppings and Max out of nowhere. They have taken height, and this is their chance to look down. The Tick, Mafia, they're there as well. You see Visuals and Braids at the bottom, and this is the moment here. 10th zone, going into 11. You could shockwave up with that Fizz and cause so much distraction, but nobody is in position to do so. Another down coming in from Expo, leaving QK by himself, along with Ritual here, as they both play the rest of this game as solos.
It's going to be one of the most important rounds right now, too. If you're already kind of in the race here, getting another end game here will all but basically solidify your top 10 positioning. So for some, this is going to be super important. I'm really looking at Mafia and the Tick here, besides, of course, Braids, who's trying to solo clutch, Ritual's trying to solo clutch, right? They've done so much already. They're in that conversation. They're very much in the race here. Just kind of taking a wide-eyed view at things. Ritual's going to be the first to move here. Trying to chop through enemy builds right now. Still being all the more cautious, though.
Just a lot of space here for Ritual. Even Braids feeling a little comfortable here, but can't feel too comfortable. And it's going over recycled build, which means a lot of players down below, they're lurking, they're crouched down, hiding those audio visuals. So it isn't a free elimination, but Listen gets caught out. Mafia drops down low. This is the team you had your eye on. I can definitely see why it's plays just like this. Finding those opportunities are creating themselves. Even Blake and Preston down below. You see the two worlds of difference, a team on high ground and a team down below.
Blake and Preston have been contested, meanwhile, all 3 games. So credit to them managing to not only fight their way through an early fight, you know, they're the team that's wrapping it up quickly, but look at how far they're pushing their opportunities here into a full end game right now. Meanwhile, the high ground teams are starting to turn online, doing exactly what they need to. And Mafia and the ticket taken out here. Kai Ixon, Skittler say, hey man, give us a little bit of that highlight now. They're at 5 elims here. Preston and Blake, though, listening to all the action go down here. Jacob just continuing to lurk through the mid-ground.
Yeah, waiting for somebody to make a mistake, break through any one of these builds. They have those 6 eliminations. They have 10 probably plus builds each. Ritual with a huge flank. I don't know how he found that one, but gets that first knock onto Barney, gets the elimination cleanup. Siphon's going to get him to full HP, and the materials is what matters most. Giving Ritual a fighting chance here. Gets all the other duos left in this game. One of 2 solos. I do believe the other one is going to be Braids, who's still left alive, but make it another one as Skittles' teammate does go down. Slepsy picks up that elimination here, and Skittles gets taken down by Ritual, who's lurking in the backside of zone. It's moments just like that matter most.
Richie putting up the points, but so is Braids here as he's firing back, but no! Ritual's done his number
Dang,
2.
brother.
199 points. He
I'm
sits
not
down
ready.
Braids there in the end. Just keeping it interesting for us. Meanwhile, Max, though, mopping. They have the high ground. Can they get the win? No! They lose their opportunity, but now it's a standoff against Blake. I think Blake's done enough to buy himself some time as Preston's already sitting here comfortably healing through the end game. But the heal comes through from the Siphon. Max is just hunting now, and that's going to be all she wrote as the win there. For Max, though, no! I think Storm Sickness kicked in, Jacob.
I looked away at a split second. I thought that was a Blake and Preston win, and somehow, someway, Max, due to Storm Sickness, steals the game away. I have never seen a closer call in Fortnite history in my entire life. Zeke, make sense of the madness.
Jacob, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Storm Sickness strikes again! Oh, man. Dude, you've got to think in that moment, right? Blake, Preston, they're probably like, this is it, dude. You have it. Like, you have so many heals. And I think Jacob, I was there with you. I was like, bro, there's no way. Like, this is done. It's over. Close the chapter. They're going straight through. Storm Sickness, though. Shout outs, though, to the other side, right? Max and Mopping. Oh my gosh, we got getting tongue twisted here. These guys were on height, right? So they were kind of running the lobby there for a little bit, and to take it all the way to that fight against legends like Blake, right? To come out on top. Dude, this has got to be such a boost to the confidence.
I mean, there was multiple times there, Vivid, where we're like, oh, yeah, it's going to be Javi and Amish on height. Okay, we're all good. Just like when we thought that Blake was going to win. We're like, oh, okay, we're all good. No, man, Max and Mopping were able to just kind of sneak in, take height away. I would love to rewatch this game and to see exactly how they did that, because it looked like Javi and Amish had such a distance for high ground and just such a command over it. So for them to be able to steal that away from such a notable team and then be able to carry that on into the very end against, like Zeke was saying, these big veterans like Ritual and Shadow and Blake. So big shout outs to Max and Mopping. I really love to see kind of newer names get highlighted during these heats. That is what it is all about.
Yeah, I can tell you right now from personal experience, blinking, you might have missed it. We literally were talking about that. It was like, yeah, Javi and Minich, they look so good up on the higher ground. You know, we were talking about how well they have done throughout those first 2 games without many eliminations. They just seemingly make it all the way to the 12th zone. They don't really need much. And then it was like, whoa, Mopping and Max, they're up on the higher ground. All right, let's do a little bit of research on these guys. And sure enough, Max, he's made 1 FNCS Finals before. Mopping, this is now going to be his first FNCS Grand Final. So in back-to-back games, we've got a couple of players here on NA and Heat #1 making it to their first FNCS Grand Finals. But That was absolutely insane. It feels like that one got stolen out from under Blake. Oh, that was so close.
You know they're going to be like, okay, hey, maybe in the future, let's make sure we're not as Storm as long as that. Let's just make some, tiny little adjustments to make sure that doesn't happen again. With that being said, though, we do only have 2 games left to go. After this short break, we'll prepare ourselves for game number 4. We'll see you in just a moment. That last game came down to the wire. Storm sickness stole it away, though. And unfortunately, Blake Preston just barely missed out. But it's okay. Everything's fine. We have 2 more games to go, right, Kelly? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Let's bring up these standings, right? Kelly, I'm not worried. You shouldn't be worried. I'm not worried.
Are you sure? You seem worried, Zeke. I don't think you should be worried at all, though, because honestly, today has been absolutely phenomenal. We do only have 2 more games to go, though, before we find out which 15 duos is going to be making their way into the grand finals next week. And from what it looks like right now, Agers and Ritual are a shoo-in, Vivid.
I mean, it's no surprise, right? We talked about how well they did in those first couple of games as a duo, and then, we kind of saw it. Agers kind of going down a little bit early this game. Maybe this will be where they kind of slip on the leaderboard. As you can see, that's hit zone. So Ritual playing out a majority of this game after Agers goes down here. But yeah, I mean, just an incredible performance from Ritual. We were kind of talking about it as it was happening. Like, Ritual's been in these moments before. He's been a solo, and he always makes something happen. But what an incredible game from him to actually pick up points here. That's a long time to play as a solo in a world full of duos, and he did so, by the way, as the player in the lobby ended that game with the most eliminations. He ended with 7.
Oh. Wow, and he literally was like so close to hitting Storm Surge damage as well. So for him to kind of like toe that line, make sure that he's staying on the side of zone so that he's not taking too much aggression from everyone that's on the low and mid ground. Also being able to get Elim after Elim, that is so impressive. And you know, Zeke was actually asking and be like, hey, it's usually Agers that's like a solo at the end of these games, right? But honestly, Ritual and Agers, both of them can pull out these solo clutches. And it is just so exciting to see Ritual finally kind of, because you know, when you're on a team with Peterbon Cold, maybe you get overshadowed just a little bit. So to see Ritual perform and get the highlight he deserves makes me so happy.
Yeah, I completely agree, right? Like, love having those opportunities and to catch them on broadcast, right? So awesome. They're currently in that #1 spot. In case you're tuning in, don't worry about the 1,000 points. That just means that duo has got a victory royale. They're going through next weekend. So 4th place is essentially 1st place. So Agers and Ritual looking real good. Shadow and Virgos currently sitting in that 2nd place. It's interesting because like when you look at their stats, 2nd place 7 elims, 7th place 5 elims, and then we have a 17th with 5, right? So a little bit like all over the place, but to still be in 2nd place, like these guys are doing very, very well. I'm almost like thinking, do they even care about that VR right now, Kelly? Are they just like, yeah, we could get a VR, or we can just keep getting practice, right? We can continue to refine things and kind of show what we've got.
I mean, besides the most recent performance evaluation, we haven't had a Dip Cup in quite a while, and I don't think there's any more really tournaments for this opportunity for them to practice in a duos set lobby. So maybe you're right. Maybe Shadow and Virgo, they're kind of foregoing the opportunity to auto-qualify just to be able to get more practice in. That wouldn't be the first time we have seen some of our top competitors kind of choosing to maybe not necessarily go for the Victory Royale. Obviously, they're not throwing. Shadow and Virgo are playing absolutely phenomenally, and that is why they're in our top 3 right now. But you might be onto something, Zeke.
I have ideas sometimes.
You know, Zeke, we know how this is going to go. Shadow and Virgo, they were going to do well today. And I'm happy that we're kind of talking about this duo because, you know, we know how everybody loves the stats. We always run them all the time. So why don't we go ahead and take a quick moment to break down some more of the numbers. This is going to be top 5 shotgun damage over the course of the first 3 games, right? Ritual, he's going to be up there. That solo clutch is going to be helping him out there. But like I mentioned, we're talking about Shadow and Virgo. He's up there 2nd place right now with 1,060. We got to give it actually a shout out to Prez there. He's at 907. But the thing that's standing out for him right now is the fact that he actually picked up 670 of that damage in game number 3 with only 2 eliminations. So he jumped up an incredible amount right there in that game.
Okay, guys, we're coming down to the wire here. 2 games left to go. We need to get ourselves in gear because we need a victory out or to end in top 10. We want to keep the FNCS dream alive and not go to last chance qualifier. With that being said, casters, over to you.
That's right, and as you win, of course, the lobby gets lighter and lighter. For Blake and Preston, such a close game. I'm still thinking about how that all played out in those final moments, Jacob. Absolute nail-biter. I had my hands up. I thought it was all over, but you know what? They still needed those points because now at least they're in the running.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you can really narrow down these moments between did I make it in or not. But the moment for Game 4 is here. Let's jump in.
All right, Jacob, game number 4. There's this opportunity and then the last. And that'll be it for heat number 1. So for some, of course, we're going to have some heartbreak here as we start gearing up for the last qualifier. But Blake and Preston back into the action here at the Lobby Landing. We have seen them kind of dominate against Pluzzy's duo here time and time again. This seems to be the fastest that they've all kind of started this fight too, as far as pacing is concerned. And just in the last game too, though, they had other teams rotating in. So this has not been a free drop by any means, right? They really worked for it.
Yeah, each and every one of these moments, but they win another one of these fights. And honestly, after that last one, barely missing out on a final spot, they are definitely playing with the pressure on. As Prom Nut drop down yet again. This is one of those drops you talk about it. Is it a 50-50 or is it just one of those where you kind of just drop and hope for the best? Either way, they're finding some consistency in a drop like that. But Rise and Curly from Painted Palms, they were kind of pushed out towards the north by this team. This went from a fight that didn't happen in game 1 to a fight in game 4 that is stretched far north to the actual POI. Rise clutches up, giving him and Curly a chance here. And what's so important is you look at the leaderboard, 104 points is the current amount of points to be on that bubble. Thanks to those eliminations, Rise and Curly is another team on 104.
Yeah, you wouldn't even think that it'd be that close, let alone have a team like Rising Curly riding the coattails of the qualification line right now. Here you have it. So nice quick elims here, at least keeping them in the game. And, you know, I wonder where their mentals at.
I have to turn it off. Change. Wait, we mind.
Right now, right? Like, they're coming up short time and time again, not quite finding those big placement points in the end. Game 4, it's time to dig deep, pull your way out the trenches. Aegis and Ritual. Normally by this time, we'll see them already have had a set of elims, so it seems like Sandy Strip and the teams that have been here noticed how well they've been performing and giving them some more room to work with the team.
You can almost kind of see why, because, you know, Bucky and Zen qualified early. That was a team that landed right below them. Next up, Noisy and Neo, another team that landed right below them. And so a lot of their teams they normally push for damage ain't necessarily there, but the fight on the north side of the map, you see it being contested, not necessarily the 50-50 we're normally used to seeing, but Boji and DK still end up the victors of this spot, but with only 28 points. They almost need back-to-back second places with elims, or they need to win one of these next 2 games.
Yeah, as of right now, they have to have a huge game to put them in the conversation. Don't count anybody out yet. Even in that last game, Max and Mopper came out of nowhere. All of a sudden secured that victory royale. That's the exciting part here. Everyone can still be a winner. And Stuffy's and other teams that's very much out of the race right now, really trying to claw their way back in. Desperate to find themselves a little win here. Have to first get past this Sanctuary duo. And to their south, there's another team listening. To their north, there's one possibly edging in. And then you have Tony behind them watching the replay come in. So this is going to get real messy real quick.
Yeah, you've seen almost a whole different side of Day and Stuffy's this time around. From a lot of the earlier games, we saw more passive game plan, getting surge from a distance, rotating to the slower side of the zone. This time it seems like they're taking the fight right out of the gates. A fight that you can know that's going to happen. Michael and Cryptify versus their opponents on the other side. Ultra is going to be left by himself because they already cleaned up one elimination here. You see him just trying to hold on, allowing Cryptify to get the double minis off. But this is where now with the numbers advantage, they go to try to make a play, using the gloves to try to get up. It's not enough for Ultra. He's going to go down. And so already with 2 game wins from Ultra and his duo, now to 2 game wins for Cryptify and Michael Frog.
Yeah, just going back and forth here. Agers, Ritual find themselves up against Cash and Boogie here. It's the clash that we saw them be successful in before. However, it's happening earlier now. Like you mentioned, those other teams that have fallen through really have kind of forced them into some other fights if they want to find their surge early. Doesn't seem like this one's actually really kicked off just yet, at least judging by the amount of heals I see inside of Agers loadout. Yeah, the Cash and team are kind of sitting idle right now. Meanwhile, Jasper, Tib find themselves a nice little elim there. The full finish here to build his barracks.
Kind of rotating south. They're one of those teams near 4 fields. Instead of just fighting for the actual loot and the spot early damage, they say, hey, we have 76 points. One good game here, we're in contention of grabbing one of those spots. So I like the different approach to this game plan. This is how they were able to pick up at least one of those eliminations there. They're able to drop on, probably surprise the team there. Something that they haven't done in some of those previous games. And this is where you kind of have those tricks underneath your sleeve. You save them for the rest of the tournament, and it kind of gives you that extra little boost that you need to qualify.
We've definitely seen teams pull the strats out on the Heat's windows. Meanwhile, Shadow Virgo pretty much had done enough to be inside the top 10 via consistency. This is the first we're seeing them get what I would call aggressive in the early game, right? Every other early game, they've kind of played it safe, played for the end game. We've given them a lot of praise for their ability to stay consistent. But now you have Andrew here. And the Spider-Man just kind of sitting back, guns drawn, ready to do the thing. They missed the first shot, Andrew follows up though. Just a little bit of damage there, but Shadow and Virgo not quite doing enough to finish the deed.
Yeah, good damage to kind of follow up on, but not enough to break the confidence that Shadow and Virgo are currently playing with. 163 points, almost nothing to lose here as the shots come in again from Shadow up above the different angles. Seems like almost too much for Andrew and his duo to fight back from. Again, being pressured, walls being stolen, Shadow just being persistent here. Virgo from the other side, closing down options. There goes the first knock. Andrew goes down, and the cleanup from Shadow and Virgo. You talk about their lack of aggression in the early game, and this is right now looking like they're ramping things up.
It's the most versatile duo in the lobby, it seems like, at this point. That was very nicely done, and honestly, the angles on Shadow there easily overwhelmed them. I don't think they expect to get hit from the top, so we'll play for them. Aoxy, Jojo Fishy, team that started off, had a bit of a footing kind of in this, but here slipped down, trying to find their way back in. They're at the Wonky Land right now. Now there's other duos to the north, two teams actually.
You can see how a format like this changes things up a little bit for Aoxy and Jojo Fishy. Normally it was Sniper Dude, Avenger versus Max and Mopping, and for Aoxy and Jojo Fishy, they stayed at a distance to get Surge. But now that Max and Mopping win a game in finals, no longer here, that kind of opens up a little bit of space. So I'm a little bit of surprised to see Sniper Dude and Avenger so far away from the mending machine. We may probably have different plans to rotate in, but it just goes to show as the game continues on, it opens up different avenues and different strategies. Nut and Brom continue to find key eliminations here in the game. That's 2 overall. That's 6 extra points before placement even come in.
Tick and Mafia positioned up. Talk about those placement points. Everyone will welcome them, but for the Tick and Mafia, they just need to coast their way into an end game at this point. I was really impressed by what they were doing last game, but I'm not sure what team it was rolled up on them. They got smashed, but they all of a sudden lost their position kind of in that mid to high ground there. Give that a second. Stuffy's in day, okay? Still fight that seems to be going well for them right now. Actually sitting on top of the opponents, but man, it's in the storm. Anything can happen when you're kind of taking the risk here, fighting in the zone.
One thing you feel like you know for sure, fighting this far out of the zone, is the likelihood of a third party coming in. It's almost slim to none. Wouldn't say it's impossible, but for Bloods and Akai, they just cannot play to the fact that maybe a third party will come in. Scuffy and Day, they may not know exactly where they're at. Bloods healing here may give the audio visuals up a little bit, but if they don't necessarily hear where it's coming from, they might not know where to go. So instead of staying and overstaying your welcome here, it does look like Day and Scuffy's, they've had enough of this fight. Because remember, early on in the game, before the fight even started, you saw them lurking in this direction. So they spent a lot of time and likely resources. I just hope they got what they wanted out of it.
Yeah, a little bit of damage for some is going to be more than enough to at least be content. You have to assume so, especially when you're kind of like under the 20 points in the game so far. So realistically, you know, playing an end game is going to be way better than risking it all here and now. Great visuals though. Committed early to the high ground positioning, and I respect it. They've had more than enough time to go and bounce back and follow the material. Though they're getting a bit curious. I wonder what they look like. What is he going through?
Honestly, I'm
not sure. Braids has a chance right now to get Aminish's card. It's just a matter of can he get Aminish kind of back in the game right now. So there might be no other option but to go outside of the zone to try to get that opportunity. Seeing the feed early and Rise eliminated 104 points. One of 3 teams on that 104 marker. And as of now, that's the threshold. So they're going to have to go into that last and final game of the day to try to clutch up a grand final spot. Otherwise, they're going to be going through that LCQ. Every team that does not make it into LCQ through not only the heats today, but throughout the weekend, will have that final shot in the last chance qualifier where it's 5 more games. You win a game and you are in.
That last chance qualifier is super soon too, early next week. So we'll be seeing you there as well. For now,
I can't hear it, bro.
Oh.
6 different pizza slices, 5 different shockwaves. There's a vending machine right to his north. It's just all about timing. Whether he has Ager's reboot card or not, you got to imagine they do have the gold, so he definitely has some flexibility, whether you kind of realize it or not. See Sandy's trip behind him, so there's a lot of time left on the board for Ritual to make a play. But even if he doesn't, the way he's been playing as a solo in multiple games so far, I still got to have that confidence in him to try to make things work, because if they're not already qualified with their points, there may be just a few more away.
Yeah, I mean, last game he surely popped off. And then came even by himself. Definitely saw that. Richard just added to the highlights. Meanwhile, Blake and Preston just fighting back with a vengeance here. So they got that 2 elims. Preston's getting a little bit of pressure coming in from behind here, but Blake being as cool as ever, bending up, trying to play defense here. It's
I don't get why they wear this like same skin.
tagging them on the rotate right now. Blake Preston go for the shockwave off.
Everyone in this
In the north side, meanwhile, Ritual
Ritual.
kind of goes back into the storm, right? Going straight for that reboot man here.
That skin?
There
Whatever
is
skin
still
or duo
teams
tone
lurking
they
in the storm.
are.
This is the dangerous thing about kind of zone 5, zone 6. You know, you never
All
really
the
know, right?
duos is on the
You
same
tend to
skin.
stay behind way later than you'd expect. Even here and now. Whoa.
Yeah, that 37, that's what's really going to scare me, because even with Agers back in the game, they're on a clock here to try to get damage. You talked about other teams in the distance. Visuals and Braids in a very, very similar situation, having to get that reboot back. Don't know where their status is currently when it comes to Storm Surge, but that's 2 teams coming from the north side of the map that might clash as this game progresses. Jump on board. Dragon and Freon, 61 above the damage threshold, looking to connect with a few more shots to climb that leaderboard even a little bit more. But somebody trying to make a sneak attack from down underneath, has to slip in, but they have that all-seeing eye, so they make sure nothing sneaks its way through.
Ritual's back in the game here. Agers it'll back up, and oh, look at this. The prime opportunity. Visuals and Braid, as we knew. Visuals already had to get picked up and saved anyways. They're 35 below, so this is a desperate time to fight, and you can't stay in the zone. I was just going to say, look at the 5 tick. Right now we're getting into the dangerous end game of the storm here. Ritual, though, coming in late. Surely the team above them is going to be thinking about whether or not they need to push this team right now. Uh-oh. Reads. Dangerous falls. Oh, no.
Active Storm Surge. Instead of getting knocked, straight elimination. All that hard work from Rituals to get Agers back in the game right out the window. And he's less than 15 seconds away from going down. 39 HP to 24. And it looks like he's just going to wait this one out. He's okay with getting eliminated here, denying at least 3 more points away from everybody else. But Aloe, listen, they probably heard that Surge Strike go down. They probably heard the elimination, and they quickly jump on over to carry up that loop.
Look, they actually got the credit there too. Which was pretty unfortunate for Ritual, but it's all good. Love a little shout there to the official at the CS outfit. Love to see it. So much happening inside of Fortnite. Plenty to celebrate this weekend. As the community said, FNCS is back. Look at this fight right here. This is a Storm Surge battle on both ends. Hey, don't waste no time here. Y'all need to hit some shots, and someone surely does. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Vertify is barely in the game here. The Siphon triggers just in the nick of time, but no, he's still 83 below here, Jacob.
Yeah, now, 5 tick, trying to catch up and keep up with his own. Barely able to survive, down to just 1 HP, 31 damage below, and spotted out by everybody north of him on that rotation. That's going to be a big elimination for them. At least they get one more chance, the 5th and final game of the day, to try to qualify for the finals through heat so that they don't have to go through the grueling LCQ. But you can see Javi and Minish getting tagged up on their way there. Over 100 above the damage threshold. That dropped them below 50, but they're still above at least.
Yeah, Surge just turning online, continuing to stay active zone to zone. And that's that desperation kicking in here. As this is game number 4. The last opportunities are before us here. Visuals Braids getting back into the action here. Really impressive. You have to consider the fact that with Visuals being fully eliminated, right, taking out the game, resetting all that damage, bouncing back in it, now being above it as if they never were below is so impressive. When was the last time you saw Harpoon?
I would literally
that feels like a throwback. Oh my gosh.
And to just harpoon a slap-a-roni pizza. And that just goes to the testament of literally what you're talking about. Visuals down, Braids by himself, a great spot in zone that he had to give up just to get this reboot. And now if you look at their loadout, you would almost never guess they were down in the first place. Virgo taking a big shot, forced it back up. Luckily for him, they not only got the elimination, but you can see what they're fighting for. All the loot right in front. A worthwhile sacrifice for them because they're already in towards the zone. More so towards the north side where you see not too many teams are currently positioned.
Diminished. He's got the high ground with Hobby though. Just on the edge of Storm. I want to see if it's actually throwing this way. That'd be a pleasant surprise since they come in pretty early. Oh, it is. Okay. So, I mean, they don't have a lot of material though to kind of hold this. And yeah, you can see even a minute here just eyeing up some of that loot down low. I don't think if it's even worth it. Probably not to go down, obviously. However, have to do something here and now. Here it is. Rex's team ends up setting it all up. Here's a replay though. How they come instead of eliminations. Big damage though. Wow. Triggering through.
This looks like Hobby gets every bullet in that clip. But one of two shockwaves being used. They have one more as a team. And you can kind of see why they're going for that fight. High ground's fine and dandy, but if you don't have the resource to hold it, it could cost you almost everything in a game like this. Multiple teams going from point A to point B, but it's Creon and Dragon that stop with the elevated layer. That could be a threat to their high ground.
Goes back. Blake in Preston, another endgame here, but saw that damage coming in. You have to assume it's Hobby once again just connecting with that pistol. Meanwhile, Preston back with Blake. They haven't found eliminations since the last time we tuned in. There it is. Preston starting to aim up the high ground. That's some good pressure too. Little do they know that high ground team is very desperate on material count right now. Love to rotate here, front side, and sweeping around the outskirts.
Yeah, honestly, being in that situation of that last game, coming into this with a whole fire, see to get the elimination. Hobby in a minute, though, gets beat on their high ground. Stolen away for a short moment. And you talked about how much material they expended early on just to get it the first time. They have to give it up. Risen and Aldo perfectly played because they don't even end up in a fight with another team interrupting the mix. They get it all to themselves. But Jojo Fishy and Aoxy, they're not letting that opportunity out of their sight. They put some pressure onto the high ground, trying to chop them down once. But Aldo and Listen, they reconnected. But you can see it's barely being held together by one wall and ramp.
And Blake on the low ground actually found the refresh there in the end as well. But look
I'm
at this.
good. What about you?
Trying to clutch up. So low right now. These are big points being earned here, but he's only got 5 bills left. So does Shadow. Shadow's barely got anything, but he goes up for the high ground. Not quite enough to reach the top there. Down he goes. Meanwhile, lands in a box, and the enemy
Are you watching?
slipped out of there. I don't even think he realized what was going on with Shadow. Finds another one. Right on the
FNCS thing is going on today.
This is chaos.
Yeah, big elims, and it really matters. It makes the difference here at the end of the day. Blake and Preston still trying to control as much of this low ground as possible, but Blake goes down. Disaster strikes yet again. Top 8 situation, so at least half of the placement points have already been grabbed up. So for Preston, it's almost like everything is bonus. Dragon ends up in a fight, beaming from across the map. Creon's able to get into the box, save the day, build to protect himself. And you can see he's fresh out of materials, down to the very last heals as well. Preston looking strong, though, all things considered, as a solo.
Still has the chug as well, so has a couple options to play with right now. Dragon and Creon, though, just running out of gas here. They need anything they can find. See Skittles there. There goes the finish. Okay, so just giving them just enough to kind of stay in the game here. Creon's going to be rewarded with the siphon. Back in the
God dang, that's a lot of them.
Preston with a monstrous shot onto both of them, and Dragon, Creon are just getting hunted down. The finish comes in from the tail end there. It's not Preston's points, but it is still a top 3, possibly top 5 here. We'll see Preston's inside this 3. Yup, looking very solid right now.
Yeah, all three of these teams, though, are inside of that top 10 leaderboard consistency. So this is going to open up a slot at the bottom of that leaderboard, no matter who wins. Better late than never, but Preston running out of build, just trying to farm anything he can get his hands on. He's the solo caught in the middle. Only lasts for so long before Slepsy and Wagers clean up that elimination. 195 points. They have the Mythic, so they can definitely turn the tide if the fight starts without him. Aloe goes in as well. Slepsy down to just a little bit of HP. Wagers goes up with the shockwave and gets the first down. Aloe gets dropped. Listen is there. They trade shots back and forth, but Wagers is scrambling around, not trying to give away a free elimination, especially since they know they have the high ground, they have the advantage, and now they have the game in the bag.
And 13 eliminations to top it off. That shockwave faked out the player on the low ground. You saw him glance all the way up. Nope, he didn't go that high. He was right behind him already there, Jacob. What a game. And even for Preston to clutch up and get a top 3, that was incredible. Another victory out in the bag here as game number 4 is now wraps here, Zeke.
How did I blink and today's almost over? How? Why? It's almost, no, we're gonna
I
start
don't
over.
know.
Kelly, bring the board back out. We're starting the day over. Wow.
production.
No. Congratulations. The Slepsy and Wagers getting themselves a victory out. I think what's really interesting about this, going into this game, Slepsy and Wagers were 12. And Listen and Aloe were actually 13, right? So if we look at that top 5, this is basically like 9th and 10th kind of fighting it out. So this means now everyone's getting pulled up in the leaderboard. So for game number 5, it's going to be super close. But I'm excited to see that Slepsy Wagers got themselves at the all right again. Confidence boost. Now it's one thing. Focus on next week's finals. Really prep and bring everything you've got because you got Summit Land. You can't miss that.
I mean, Zeke, beyond them even getting this victory royale, they went from 8 eliminations over the course of the first 3 games to getting 13 eliminations in that one game. Easily the most amount of eliminations that we've seen so far, if not probably for the rest of the day, Vivid.
Yeah, that actually breaks the record for most eliminations today, including the EU games earlier today. So big win from Slepsy and Wagers. And guess what, guys? I'm going to sound like a broken record right now. Once again, we have somebody making their first FNCS Grand Finals for the 3rd time in a row through a win. That's going to be Wagers. Has not been to an FNCS Grand Finals yet. We're going to be seeing him there for the first time. And Slepsy on the other side as well. Very similar situation with this duo among some of the other ones we've seen win today. He's only made it to 1 Grand Finals so far, so just going to be his 2nd one. But what a way to kind of do it, right? You qualify for your Grand Finals, and the way you do that, 13 eliminations and a win in a lobby like this, incredible stuff.
Again, man, it's all about confidence, right? And I love to see that. I love to see players getting that chance, right, to go into a finals lobby. It's going to be a different animal entirely, but to still make it there, that's got to mean everything to this duo. So, unbelievable stuff. Now, 1 game left to go before we call wraps for each number 1. First, a break. When we return, we'll take a look at that leaderboard. We'll start to look at who's in contention, and we'll get ready for that final game. Don't go anywhere. left to go. I'm nervous. It's fine. Everything's fine. In case you missed it in that last game, Slutzy Wagers got themselves a victory royale, which means they're going straight through to finals. But we got to get right into this. Okay, let's take a look at this leaderboard. Okay, it's very simple. All right, you want to make it to finals? No problem. Let's get a victory royale in this last game on the day, or we end top 5. Now, top 5 isn't what it looks like on here. It's really top 15 because 1st through 4th have already got themselves a victory royale. So basically, we want to end in the top 15. I'm quite nervous, but that's okay. Let's kind of break a couple things down. Once again, in this last game, we saw Preston take it to a solo clutch. And I don't know about you guys. For a moment, I was like, I really hope they did not take a ton of storm damage. Like, I already saw Preston, like, at the end. You know, like, I really believed in my heart of hearts that Blake was just going to get through. But they're still looking really good, right? They're in a very good spot going into this last game, but we still need to have a good last game.
Yeah, where are they? They're currently sitting in our top 5, right, or top 5 in consistency right now. So I think that they're probably in a pretty positive position to make it into grand finals for consistency. We actually look at EU. The qualifying cutoff was 143 points, and they're currently sitting at 203 points. All right, Hoppy and Diminished, with not 193 points as well, a team that we consistently look at, even though they've dropped down 2 placements right now. I think that they're also pretty much in a pretty safe position. Currently 15th place, 120 points, Vivid, so there is a lot of opportunity to grow for some of the teams that are kind of below that threshold. But as far as Javi and Diminished are concerned, I don't think they have to worry too much.
No, I mean, they're playing pretty consistently right now, like you mentioned, 193 points. The only thing that's got me confused, it's like, I feel like over the course of these last couple of games, games 3 and 4, and you know what, I'll just throw games 1 and 2 in the mixture there. Oh my gosh, if you just saw that, what just happened. Yavi just getting edited down real quick. That's how that one kind of turned out for them. But every single game, they have been on hype for at least some amount of time. And it felt like in games 3 and 4, it was going to be like a continued story of how well they played in games 1 and 2. They were kind of just going to be able to ride out that high ground all the way until the end game and kind of compete for first, second, third, whatever it may be. But again, it's kind of like you blink and you might miss it, and they just kind of fall up, and you're like, whoa, what happened to the team that was just on high ground? Obviously, we saw a little bit of what just happened to them right there, but I love the fact that they're going for high ground every single game. I would just love to kind of see them return back to form, see them holding that again.
I will say, every time we've watched them in the end game, it does look like Javi and Diminished are kind of waiting a little bit patiently to go for high ground. They're not going it for too early, which we've seen some teams make that mistake. But they're going for high ground, and it feels like they're doing it just because they feel like they need to. And they don't have really the loadout or the materials to be able to hold high ground. But I think that they're in their mind, they're just like, oh, well, this is the win condition. We need to go for high ground right now. So they're going for it regardless of what their loadout's looking like. And they're so good that they're able to kind of grab it and steal it, but they're not able to hold it. So I would love to see them kind of just try and position themselves away from that win condition instead, and looking towards maybe just running the low ground, running the mid ground instead.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is because this is a win-in situation, right? Even if you're in the top 10, so okay, there's 2 kind of spots I'm thinking about. If you're in the top 10, you're trying to stay in the top 10. If you're not in the top 10, all hope isn't lost. You just need a VR right here, right now, right? But also, if someone in the top 10 goes through, everyone else is getting shifted up, right? So I think we turn over the page and we look at that top 15. Skidler right now at 120. And Kelly, you called out kind of that EU qual range, right? So even someone like Curly and Ryzen 17th, they still have a shot, right? We can even see, the team all the way at the bottom. If they get a victory out, they're still going to finals. So this last game is critical, right? Even if you're in a position where you're not in that top 10, you really can't let it all go, right? Kelly, you kind of have to be like, hey, this is it. This is our one game to either get top 10, get a VR, or hope that someone in the top 10 gets a VR and pulls us up into the top 10. It's so complex.
I love that you bring that up too, because in this situation, when we're in the final game for Heats, this is kind of the opportunity for some of our maybe tier 2, tier 3 teams to really shine, because a lot of our bigger teams have already qualified through. But if you look at like the names that we still have in contention, as well as the teams that we have that have already qualified through, it's a lot of our veterans that are still in the competition right now. So maybe that opportunity for someone to steal away a victory royale in the final game is no longer there, Vivid.
Yeah, obviously, we're using the EU as a reference point, right? 143 points was what it required over there. I do want to know, obviously, this is probably going to be different over here on NA, but one thing that I would not be surprised to see kind of happen is what we saw over on EU was actually the jump in the threshold. Going into Game 5, top 15 was 95 points on EU, and it ended up being 143. So that threshold changed by like 50 points just over the course of that last game. So, yeah, even though you're around that top 15 spot, these teams cannot feel safe or secure for their grand finals ticket.
Man, oh man, you do not want to take it to the last chance, right? Last chance qualifier is hard. You know, you do not want to take it there. You want to get a VR here or end in the top 10. One game left to go for the last time today. MDF, Jacob, over to you.
It's already sad to see, Monster, that we're in the last game of the day. Luckily, we have Heats 2 and 3 tomorrow, but this is the team's last chance to make it in through Heats before they go through the LCQ, and the game is starting. Let's get right into it.
That's right. Game 5 is here, the last one of the evening on NA, and a little bit of a late show as well. So thanks to everyone staying up, watching some good Fortnite here. You saw that top 15. Vivid made an excellent point. This threshold is going to jump up by a significant number. And I saw teams that I recognize down here. Skittles, TK, Verts Duo, right? There's very notable, very experienced veteran teams that are not inside the top 15, or better yet, barely hanging on, Jacob.
Yep, it's one of those moments to where everything you played for from the start of the year, technically up until now, truly gets put to the test. And right now that point threshold is 125 points. It's obviously going to increase as the day goes on, but Prom, this is one of those teams that was going for that straight 50-50 right out of the gate, right on the drop, and they haven't been winning it. That's why you don't see very many points on them. I like their strategy to switch teams up. With 4 games already done and gone, 4 drop spots open up, why not play yourself out and give yourself a shot?
Love it. I love seeing duos have a winner's mentality, not giving up. That's the beauty of like this entire Heats format, the LCQ, situation we have on hand. You really do have a chance. These players scrim, practice, and play all types of other competitive in-game lobbies, and they've won, right? So they know it's all possible. It's just a matter of piecing it all together. And yeah, this may not be the most difficult stage, so yeah, you should be trying to win every single game, every chance you got, regardless of
Horizon Curly this time around. We saw in game 1, they split this drop. They actually performed decently well. The rest of the games, they kind of fought it out. They had some successes, but they also some downfalls. This time around, they're going back to just playing this game out. They're trusting their game IQ. They're trusting their strategy. My only worry for them is they're getting a little too close to Sandy Strip, Agers, and Ritual, who have almost nothing to lose in this last game of the day. You jump around, new Sanctuary, south side of the map. We've got Illusion and Vivify's over here, and this is one of those contested drops to where even if you win it, it's so hard to make it out alive, because New Sanctuary is kind of in a canyon in towards the middle, and there's so many teams and split drops around that are going to box up, knowing you have to leave and try to get Surge tagged.
And right now, obviously, they don't have any visuals on the outskirts, so folks can just roll up, set up an ambush. But the thing about ambush is you're kind of boxed in down here, caught out, trying to steal some loot. Caught with the hand in the cookie jar, if you will. Already lost his teammate, there goes the full finish. So, vibes looking pretty good right now. Big finish up, clean up, looks just about the way they want it. And off to a mid-game they go. And back to the other side. So, Ryzen Curly rotate into Ritual and Agers. Rituals and Agers, I feel like, after last game, probably want to prove something right now. As Boogie and Cash gave them a little run for their money, took away a bit of their opportunity to crack, right? So I'm thinking they're going to want to play a serious, strong game out there. Goes up in there.
Yeah, the timing for, looks like Rise and Curly couldn't have been more perfect. Aegis and Ritual already looted that side of Sandy Strip, and when they typically push out of their POI, it's towards the east of Fort Field. It's towards the southeast side of the map, so they don't necessarily return to that northern part of Sandy Strip this early in their game plan, so they might have escaped possible danger, but there's other teams nearby, so hopefully for Rise and Curly, they don't get caught off guard and able to scrap together a loadout they feel confident going into the rest of the game with.
Talk about TK, you see his team off in the distance. Seems like they put Rogue's team on the heels as Aoxy and Jojo are watching it go down. It's a team that is in contention, essentially, for the consistency placement points. Still have a ways to go, but the end game is not out of the conversation, definitely not out of reach. Shadow and Virgo on the other side getting their hands absolutely messy here. Chasing down visuals and braids. I don't really remember where we left off on their points, but like we talked about it, no one is completely safe in this setting here.
Trying to quickly look at the leaderboard and figure out where visuals and grades are. Okay, so they're, I want to say what, 15th would be at 125. They're around 13th place right now, visual grades, 153. Things
not
will
good.
change up if a team above them wins a game, so it's not exact, but going into this game, about 13th place. But the point gap is so close. Outside of maybe teams inside of the top 5, it's just one mistake could cost you your qualification through heats into the grand finals. And that's why I think in some aspects of this game, it will speed up. You see 72 players left alive. It's only second game, our zone, so this is going much faster than every other game so far. But there's going to become a point in time where everybody starts to play safe as Agers takes the bet that he's going to win the 1v1. Fool sprays to the other side, gets the knock. Ritual gets the cleanup. So they survive a narrow fight.
Yeah, Agers almost left the grit in that one, but Tibbs has to leave Jasper's reboot behind. Off he goes. Burning through those splashes as well, so they're not going to get rewarded with anything from this elimination here, other than points that they don't exactly need. Virgo, Shadow on the other side, seem to have finished up the deed on one player, kind of jump in, find Andrew and his duo here as well, over at the studios, so we'll play for them. Already at 3 elims right now. This is the other side of Virgo and Shadow, almost the play-in side that we missed out on, right? Watching them play so aggressive, but look at this, Agers, what's going on? Agers is trying to lead the push here, and it's Rituals coming through, cleaning things up. Ritual just seems to be playing insanely well today.
Yeah, and if you're Agers, though, that's got to be a whole nother level of confidence. Say, hey, I went down early, we're still going well. I went down a little bit early in another game, I got rebooted. I can count on Ritual. And this is another example. And honestly, I can kind of see when you're playing with, like Kelly said, Peterbot and Cold in a trio format, somebody has to do the boring work, and that was Ritual most of the time. Now we're seeing him in a duo setting, and he is popping off.
Yeah, definitely. Look at this little clutch right there, breaks the bills, and dash roll Agers to just keep himself alive and in the game. Gotta respect the effort at the end there. But yeah, Ritual's just been playing, honestly, exceptional Fortnite. And again, you talk about someone who's got like this IGL title, right? Like on his shoulders, but man, he's so good. He's fragging. He's playing the best that he's ever played.
Kyan over here. This is where you can kind of see. We talked about 125 being on the line. They're that next place team, 16th, or say 11th in terms of overall consistency. They're only 5 points down, Monster. And I said this earlier, we've seen FNCS majors be decided by less than one elimination. Why not a trip to the grand finals as well? Shadow and Virgo continues their aggression. You said it early on to start this game. They're getting a little bit more aggressive early on this game, unlike any other one that we've seen so far. And they're continuing that trend. Prez and Liam, they got to watch out. Full health Shadow and Virgo are trying to break their way into that box.
I'm watching here. Big shot comes through. The follow-up is good as well. You see that combat AR putting in that big pressure there, but Virgo not looking to do anything too risky. Tries to wait for Shadow to back him up, but no. Punishment comes in. So Liam and Press playing really well right now. I'm gonna go ahead and all just hit a little reset initiation here, and Shadow and Virgo, yeah, I was gonna say likely to give it up. Probably not too confident, right? the way that one played out, so why not just give that fight up?
Liam and Prez, 22 points. They're just in a situation here with their backs up against the wall where they have to win this game if they want to dodge that LCQ, which, hey, anything can happen here. We've seen it happen before in history, so it's not out of the ordinary. 125, Sniper Dune Avenger. This is the team that I'm talking about on the line. And this is kind of scary. If you see that two of the teams, Max and his duo, landed Wonky Land. They qualified, so you got to watch out for any other teams, Cop, that intend to land Wonky Land in the grand finals. And if Avenger and Sniper Dude actually qualify as well, we could see multiple teams landing at Wonky Land in finals this season unless anybody has a change of heart.
Yeah, that'll definitely change things up as far as the overall narrative is concerned here. We're gonna get there first. See how it ends up playing out. I mean, and yeah, again, talk about the next two heats, right? Like, someone's gonna, multiple teams, I'd assume, is probably gonna fall out of the Wonky Land. So I'm surely expecting a contested finals, if you will, but we'll see. You know, things always shake up, right? Like, who really wants to play Clix anyways? Seems to think twice.
This is a fight we've seen a few times throughout the day. Both of them in a similar situation of having to win this game in order to qualify for the grand finals here and now. You can kind of see the situation that they're in. They're not far away from zone. Sus Studios even has the mending machine for the HP if they are lacking anything. It's just about how you're going to get out safely. One of the biggest hurdles in a lot of these teams' game plan is how they're handling Surge when the zone rotates so far away.
Yeah, and Dave's team just has continuously fought inside the storm, so it's all trouble there. Meanwhile, the other team I talked about, Vert and Barney, just on the outskirts again, looking through that glass window, trying to break in, trying to see what they can get done here. Atlas and Slays are off, though. That team takes off here, so they actually have 5 elims. Okay, so Atlas and Slays are playing some good Fortnite.
Taking that north side of the map, kind of working their way down. Kind of what we've seen throughout the majority of the day. 43 points, again, another team where we can kind of see the storyline unfolding right before our very eyes. If they're going to make it to the grand finals through heats, going to need a big win. And where the zone is kind of going, I have to make sure I kind of see it fully, but it seems like it's going to be a sort of center zone. You see Dark Dominion there just outside the edge of the zone, so it does have a western lean, but for the most part, as of now, it is centered up. Still 8 zones to go to pull these players around. As you jump on board Rise and Curly, 104 points. You know, they were inside of that bubble throughout the majority of the day, but going down early in that last game put them in this position here. Just luckily for them, they still have 2 win conditions.
Here's this fight going down for Shadow and Virgo. Fast, furious here to go ahead and try to finish up the elimination of Phoebe, who's off to the races right now, running through the outskirts, but no, Virgo gets caught in the crossfire by other duos that were watching this aggressive chase happen here, and what looked like a perfect way to set themselves up for the end game here ends up turning disastrous. Now forced to double back here. What happened?
Just kind of by that stat, you know, they lead the lobby in damage dealt, but also in damage taken. The duality of the sword, where sometimes you can make a lot of big plays happen, but sometimes you get stuck like that. It's Rogue, Spear, trying to break in the box onto Jojo Fishy, and they do get the elimination. That's big for them. You can see they're missing a little bit of loot, or they were up until they were able to pick up the loadout. The Shadow going back for the reboot over towards Humble Hills, runs into a whole nother team, but not just one. It looks like 2 overall.
I was gonna say, but you know, for Shadow Virgo, they have nothing to worry about. They know they have enough points, so it's a much different level of pressure. It was actually Phoebe who was still there. Shadow just putting shots down, just letting him know he's not messing around. Meanwhile, he finds a solo he was originally engaging on, and you know he's gonna come back and likely look to finish it, but instead he says, all right, I'm gonna play this game out. We still want to win. We gotta respect them trying their best here. This is good.
It's going to come with its own risk. Trying to see who's all looking the way. Maybe Fabio, Broken and Sandman, top of the mountain. But with nobody directly nearby, this might be a chance. Even if he gets knocked, that Shadow can try to go and get it. But it does look like Virgo is going to make it most of the way down. So even though we might have some questions about the flute, what is it going to look like, how they're going to get it, they're at least giving themselves a shot at getting back together as a duo.
I think Phoebe ends up falling too, but look at this. Eoxy, Jojo rotate right into Rogue, FNBR, and Spear. They get the initial tag. Although they were caught off by surprise, Eoxy gets finished and Spear comes through and seems like he can just to pick one up himself. That these are all new teams trying to fight for that victory out here and now. City Flexes still inside the game. Evolution Vibe still in this game as well.
Rotating in 205 points. They're basically going against Blake, Preston, Shadow, and Virgo for the #1 team in terms of consistency. Not having won a game on today, but you're kind of seeing the struggles that Rise and Curly are actually going through. Yeah, they have their loadout, their iron pump, their pistol, 3 slices of pizza, but 50 on the Chug Chug, and you notice that he has this zip line. There's no shockwaves, no gloves. That zip line, it can cover distances quick, but it leaves you at the utmost risk of getting tagged. You're not going to be able to ride it long, so good luck to them if they plan to actually use it.
This Shadow, Virgo, south of the zone right now. Action just doesn't stop for them, but his own favoritism doesn't hurt, given that they just rebooted their way back in.
No, I can't find my phone.
We have Preston and Blake positioned up right above them, just kind of on the mountain here, looking downwards. Virgo and Shadow know there's danger nearby. Saw those teams lurking inside the same building, outside the warehouse. Wide view giving us how many duos are starting to position.
Yo, welcome in over watching.
Slips in Toronto. This is troublesome right now. 159 points. So they're inside of the bubble when it comes to consistency, but 523 below the damage threshold. Not a vote of confidence at all. Rise and Curly, similar situation, not as drastic, which means that one elimination there is going to get them one step closer to consistency, but also above that damage threshold. Toronto slips. They go from 500 to 438, but that is over 2 full health eliminations here.
They need to jump in on box yesterday. Like, it is getting late. There it is. Nice little knock up for Tony. You have another opportunity here. They go for the down body first. Get a couple tags here. Not quite enough to get them out of the fire, though. No. This little brief bit of hesitation. There goes another team getting greedy right here. Are they going to push out of the box? They're going to sit back and blow through what's left of their heals. This might be a huge mistake. I think they needed to go for that that stone wall that was just getting refreshed right there when they had a chance. But hey, the 50-player threshold hits in. They get to buy themselves a little bit of room now. There's a great tag here on the rotate, Jacob.
Yeah, damage is absolutely needed. I was going to say, it's not over just yet. We do need to get down to around 40 players, and all that work seemingly going to waste from 500 to 300, back up to 500, end up in a fight. Good damage, but Slip's taking about 150 himself, so it's not really going to move the needle in terms of Storm Surge, but they're continuously pushing themselves to their limits. They push up onto one, but Melly shockwaves away. All these opportunities at damage are going right out the window as they still have to cover more distance to get in. Luckily for them, in this moment, Storm Surge is deactivated, but a couple of seconds, it's going to turn right back on.
So interesting how it works. You take that damage, and all of a sudden you're, again, losing in the exchange, right? You really have to give out more than you receive. Clock is still ticking, though. They're still in the race. 169 is impressive nonetheless. They could, again, be inching their way up to what might just be the bar, right? They're almost setting the threshold potentially here. So even if they do fall early, can they get more points? There it is, a little bit more placement points. They're still in this right now.
Yeah, that cushion, they just need to continue to do that. Either eliminations or just taking out a full team. 61 below. Toronto goes down. Storm Surge doesn't take him out yet, so they can still get the revive. Good job on the Slip to do that. Get the tags in. Storm Surge actually turns off. They get to 40 players, but Slip's realizing I cannot be the hero of this situation. I just have to get more points. I think he made a wise decision here.
I love it. I love him just rotating out, playing smart, going for placement points. That is the difference here and now. Instead of getting greedy there, all he has to do is just maintain life, choose life, and earn points here and now. 175. Meanwhile, Rise and Curly are just clawing their way up this hill now. They need to jump up 50, 60, 70 points if they want to solidify their way into consistency here. It's going to be very close now. Meanwhile, on high ground, here's a team going for a win, trying to really shake things up, change up the narrative.
Yeah, they're already inside of that bubble as well. So if this team here, Albo and Listen, do end up with a victory royale at the end of this one, it opens up a spot at the bottom of that consistency leaderboard. And right now, it doesn't look like they're going to give it up easy. Looking down below, trying to put pressure. Allo even reconnecting, so getting chopped is going to be a much more difficult task. There's Curly and Rise down below. You can see the two different stages. A team up above that has very little to worry about versus Rise and Curly on the ultimate low ground, having to sacrifice HP just so they can get to the front side of the zone.
Love the rotate though. Very nicely done. It's going to position themselves way ahead of the pack here. They're looking like they're cut above the rest, but no, Curly gets caught off on the tail, and a duo jumps right down. And it's status in higher team there, unfortunately, and now Rise is left as a solo. This is going to be near impossible to try to win. Meanwhile, high ground is just snatched up by Agers and Ritual.
You know,
they're trying to make a splash here to conclude the night.
Doing it tomorrow too. Okay.
Braum still in the game, barely 127 points. He gets shut down. Off to the lobby he goes. His run is now over. Slips, falls to 188 is how far they managed to make it. Meanwhile, Virgo gets a knock on someone up top, but it is just back and forth.
139 points here for Rise. It's all on his shoulders. We've seen Rise contend for FNCS championships, and now he's trying to contend here just to make it to the actual finals. 147 points. If him and Curly figure out a way to make it through and qualify here in Heats, you got to give him a big thank you. But everybody else still not letting go. Freon, Dragon, over 200 points. They find another elimination, just crushing dreams in their path as they make it up the side of the mountain. Aegis Ritual, they give up high ground, but only for a moment as they re-chop it down. That's Prez who has to give it up, but up goes Skidler, up goes Cayenne. They're ready to challenge as well.
This is like a worst case scenario, right? The teams that are on the line getting this win, pushing you out. Skidler's kind of the only one left alive right now, so it's not looking good for Skittles. He's got no match. 6 teams remaining. Meanwhile, Javi and Amish. If you're everyone else in the lobby fighting for a consistency spot, this is what you want. You want a team that is dominating to win the game so that a position opens up, so that the threshold is a little bit easier. And Skittles is still in the running right now. And the opportunity here to earn some points. They got Agers on the backside here. It's going to come down to to be quicker on the draw. It's just going to be Agers. Unfortunately, 171 for him, and puts Agers up just popping off right now here. It's his turn.
Yeah, didn't even need the points, but he ends another run. Even taking down a Minish, that could have been a fight for first place by itself, but Javi's still alive. Dragon and Creon still alive. Everybody in this game is over 200 points, so somebody at the bottom of consistency has just been gifted a slot. But for Javi, it's about first place. For Dragon and Creon, it's about making a statement. Shockwave coming out from down below. Can't cause too much confusion as Javi does get chopped down. Finally, a chance to fight toe-to-toe as Creon goes up. He takes a huge punch, dropped down to 46 HP. Javi having to do the same thing, sacrificing storm damage just to get to the front side of the zone. But his chances might be running out. We're going up the mountain. Pressure coming out from Dragon and Creon as well. He's going to need a miracle to survive this. Javi with the shockwave, and it's not going to be enough. Creon and Dragon not only win that game, qualify for grand finals, but definitely put the leaderboard to the test.
Nicely done for them. And once again, if you are someone who is fighting for consistency, Jacob, you're happy. You're smiling. You're saying, oh my gosh, thank God someone with 200 plus points took that victory royale there. Well, from us here at the desk, that's wraps. Game 5 is over there, Zeke.
Guys, Jacob, MDF, fantastic cast on the day. My gosh, day 1 of Heat, 1 of a 3-day weekend of Fortnite. Fantastic day. So many incredible things happened today. But like they called out, right? Creon getting themselves a victory royale. They were in that top 10, right? So we're pulling everyone else in that leaderboard up. So now if you're outside the top 10, you're thinking, did we do enough? Did we get those points we needed to make a difference
you
here.
still here?
And I mean, for to shout out Creon and Dragon again, we saw them in that last game, right? These guys were moving and grooving, and now they give themselves a victory royale. So there's
yeah,
even
Dragon,
more
I'll
credibility to the
be
duo, which makes me excited, right? Because then
live
we take it to a finals lobby, and it's like, okay, yeah, I
watching
remember
this
them back in
again
Heat 1.
tonight.
They were kind of cracked.
I mean, to
I
add to the
think
credibility
I
of this
should
duo
probably-
right here, not only
I
are
don't know
they
if I
pretty
can-
experienced veterans, but they got a 4th and a 3rd place as well throughout the day. So that victory royale within their grasp throughout the 5 games that we saw, and for them to finally get it in the final day, Vivid, that is how I want to wrap things up for my Heats.
Yeah, absolutely. It was not an easy win there at the end at all. We kind of saw the chaos happening towards the high ground, and somehow Creon and Dragon, they were the ones that kind of ended up being the healthy team. Not only the team up on the high ground, but also somehow healthy in that regard amongst all that chaos. And there were just so many souls left. Cleaned it up very, very nicely. But Zeke, obviously, 5 games down. We saw who won that one. The big question mark is, though, who qualified? Who's going to Grands?
We gotta find out. We take a look at the leaderboard to see. Now, remember, when we look at this, you're looking at the top 15. Those top 5, they're gonna have 1,000 points. Don't freak out, Timmy. It's fine. That just means they got a victory royale. They are going through. So all the way to the top there starts in 6th place. Agers and Ritual coming in first. We kind of knew that, right? These guys were incredible. To see Javi and Aminish as well, only 8 points behind. They were definitely thinking about this like a finals lobby, right? Like I feel like some duos would look to just get the VR and move on, but to kind of sit there and go like, no, we need to practice. If this was a finals lobby, we need to be consistent if we want to place and go to Summit.
Well, I mean, if you missed my incredible segment at the start of the show, you would know that Javi and Administer are relatively new as a duo just before Major 1 forming together. So you're totally right, Zeke, having this opportunity to play a few games together and still be able to prove to everyone that there is a reason why they got 1st place out of the play-ins, to see them perform so well right now. I just love to see it, Vivid. But we got so many big names here. I love that Blake and Preston, who were so close to auto-qualifying, still break it into our top 10. And then, of course, one of your favorite duos, Shadow and Virgo there as well.
I feel like they didn't have like a necessarily pop-off game or anything like that, like I'm kind of used to out of Shadow, but they played consistently throughout the day, picked up 3rd place on that consistency leaderboard, so that's going to be definitely enough to make them go to the grand finals. Also, got to give a big shout out to Listen and Aloe. I feel like their last couple of games were really good, and that follows suit. Taking a look at their match history, the game number 4 was a 2nd place, and then that last game right there was a 6th place. So they got a majority of their points just in those last 2 games. Now that we've talked about all of the teams that are on the first page, Zeke, we know what time it is.
2nd page time. That's right. 15th is the cutoff. Let's take a look. I am happy to report 14th place, Curly and Rise do make it through. This is big, right? Like this is a duo we were kind of looking
If I ever
to.
did
Recently
this FCS
formed,
thing,
Event
I
and
would
Rise, right?
not
Now, if we
get
look at
at
some of
least
their like
one kill
placements,
off
we did
none
have
of these
2
people.
kind of not great games,
With the way
43rd
that
and a 42nd. But
man,
remember, these guys
yeah.
were contested, right? So maybe going into finals, that changes. Maybe they look to switch things up. I don't know. But either way, they've done it, right? They can say, hey, look, we're making finals. Now we need a plan for that. But still, Kelly, I love seeing them qualify. It gives me so much, such high hopes.
Yeah, I mean, again, we were talking about the start of the show. They have not even played a Div Cup together. So for them to go from that to this being contested and to still qualify through, I am so happy for them. Hopefully they're going to be able to get some practice in over the next week to see a better performance coming out of the grand finals, because I'm sure 14th place is probably not exactly where they want it to be, but big shout outs to the Tick and Mafia for getting that last place spot right there. An 8-point difference between 15th and 16th place, but it's not over yet, Vivid, for all the teams that didn't qualify.
Yeah, they will have one more opportunity to make it to grand finals. That'll be on Monday and Tuesday, that last chance qualifier. I'm happy to report that, right? We saw right there 15th place was 145 points. We kind of went into that game at 120. We were kind of talking about, maybe there's going to be another, 50-point jump. Now, only a 25-point jump there. And, surprisingly, EU, 143 points over there was kind of the cutoff, and 145 points here. So actually, only a 2-point difference. So good to see that the 2 regions kind of had a very similar threshold. That'll be something to think about as we continue on throughout the weekend, throughout the rest of the heats.
That's true, but that is only Heat 1, right, Viv? We have 2 more days of Heat, and for them and for us, these heats could look very different tomorrow, right? Brand new duos coming in, new spots taking over, new people being contested or not. Like, there is so much to be excited for. As we start to wrap up, I want to give you guys the floor. Anything to say before we start to say goodbye?
I'd just like to apologize again to everyone. Thank you guys, everyone. It's been so long since the FNCS Global Championship, so I'm so excited that we're back. We got a little taste with the Reload Elite Series, but honestly, the FNCS, it's the storylines, it's the drama and the rivalries that I love to see, so I'm excited that we're back, Vivid.
Yeah, nothing compares. You could just tell right as soon as that first game kicked off, even on EU, it was like so stacked. There were so many teams alive, and we can have as many set lobbies as we want through like the Div Cups and the performance evals, but nothing ever plays out like an FNCS lobby does. Happy to report that NA went exactly as it usually does. It was fun, it was chaotic, and it was very, very competitive. I'm excited to jump back into the action over the course of the weekend.
Ooh, Fortnite fam, we hope you guys are excited as well. Don't forget, tomorrow we will be back. EU will be before us. They have Heat 2, then we'll come back. Then Sunday they'll go. We'll go 2 more days, and then last chance qualifier, and then finals. So much Fortnite to watch over the next week or so. Also, don't forget, Triple Threat is in the item shop. I repeat, Triple Threat is in the item shop. Absolutely incredible. Check it out. That's it for us for tonight, though. We can't wait to get back up with you guys tomorrow for more Fortnite. So until then, we love you. Keep yourself safe. We'll see you on that Battle Bus. That was by Poet.
That went by.
That's it for the stream, but it was fun to watch this FNCS. That was fun. It was fun to watch this FNCS
half of it.
Fortnite thing, but I can go back and rewatch the stream anytime. So, like I was saying, even though I'm like good but not at the same time, like I'm not good enough to do this FNCS thing. I would not get 1 kill off of none of these players in these FNCS things. Like he said, they will be having it through the week. Tomorrow, EU, they'll be having this during the week. I did not know about it until I was playing game mode, the game mode that they had. You can either watch it on that game mode, YouTube. I like watching it on YouTube because I don't know why. But if you're still watching Dragon, I will see you in the next stream. If you will be in the next stream, I don't know if I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna be home or not to do this, but to do the live. But I will see y'all in the next one. Now, peace out.